rare, something you don't really see often.
Not a thing.
They don't give it out every year either. They only give it out on occasions where they feel like it's a thing.
Like the Olympics?
Yeah, kind of.
4 years?
Sure. So that was kind of cool. But no, it was a really cool camp, and we like taught kids, and each year the theme changed in the camp. Like one year it was all about film, and then the next year it was all about TV, and then the next year it was all about like radio. So like we kind of kept it interesting. But it became really hard to top it after you get recognized by the Academy, and so we said, "All right, I think we're done." So yeah, we got recognized by the Academy. One year we did music videos, and we did a Katy Perry spoof, and Katy Perry herself put our video on her website.
Nice.
That was awesome.
That's super cool.
And then all the local Milwaukee radio affiliates said, we want to play that song on our earth. And so
you did it.
They did. And so I remember getting phone calls when I was in Los Angeles from the parents.
Kyle Olson be that famous Milwaukee.
Oh, it was so cool. It was so cool. Like these parents would call me and they'd be like, I'm listening to my daughter on the radio sing a song right now. Like,
how cool is that?
It's cool, That's not every day
cool.
you get to do something
that's
like that.
never every day.
No, so that was kind of cool. So that was fun. The camp was good.
What we're saying is Kyle Olson's the most famous thing out of Milwaukee in a long time.
Sure.
So what else is going on in Milwaukee?
Exactly nothing.
Do they shoot TV? Do they shoot film?
They shot a few years ago. They shot Public Enemies. That was a big thing.
They shoot the snow falling.
Yeah, there's a lot of snow. That's
true.
What
they shoot.
Actually, they shot a scene from Transformers 3 in Milwaukee.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they were in Chicago.
Yeah, and then they came up to Milwaukee.
Skip over.
The car dealership that they're at is actually the Milwaukee Art Museum, so that was kind of cool.
The one with
the like big white building with the wings. That's
Transformers 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the one with the rich dude.
Like the rich, yeah.
That
I remember
the non-Megan Fox is fucking.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not fucking.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's kind of cool. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, when I was a kid, they filmed the movie Mr. 3000 at Miller Park.
I don't know about this.
Mr. 3000 was a movie with Bernie Mac. He played a
Bernie Mac also in Transformers 1.
Fun fact.
Yes.
Bernie Mac played a Milwaukee brewer from the Milwaukee Brewers, and the goal was that he was going to get to his 3,000th home run, and following the story behind that. And I was an extra for it, and that was when I was in like middle school probably.
So you
and that was when Kyle knew
nothing.
I knew nothing, but I also knew that is exactly what I wanted to do.
You had the aspirations.
We got there. The taping started at like 7 p.m. and went to like 4 in the morning.
Okay.
I got there at like 6 a.m. that morning. I was like the first one there. I was right behind home plate. You can see me in the movie.
Really?
Like, oh yeah. And like I was there and I was determined and I knew that this is what I wanted to do with my life. And
12,
then
13.
Yeah. And then afterwards, like Bernie Mac came through and he gave autographs and he signed. I had a baseball and he signed my baseball. I still have it.
Bernie Mac?
Cool. Yeah. And now it's worth something.
Rest in peace, Bernie Mac.
The guy is died way too young. And so
great comic.
Yeah,
check out some Bernie Mac.
Go check out some Bernie Mac. Mr. 3000, not his finest role, but it was really cool for Milwaukee. It put Milwaukee on the map that year, so that was cool.
That year, which they don't get very often. That's what
they do not get very often. So
that's what we're getting at. Kyle's representing that in Milwaukee, that Wisconsin.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
There's not that many people out of Wisconsin, Middle America, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess you count that as Middle America. It's in the
Middle America. It's the Midwest, yes.
The top part.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't rep that shit. So we're about having full representation specifically on this Veterans Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're trying to represent all of America.
Right.
And you're the middle part.
I'm right there.
So
smack
we're
in the middle.
in the left part, so the West Coast right now.
Right.
We're a little bit more east where we grew up, me and Wayne. But and I was born in New York.
Yeah.
So we're going full country right now.
Yeah, we're spreading across the United States.
Full America.
Coast to coast.
50
coast to
nifty.
coast.
Yeah.
Full America.
Yeah.
Full on.
Full America.
Full on.
Yeah.
Stars and stripes.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
It's great.
So our 0.5 episodes usually focus on just a few aspects of something that we usually talked about in the solid episode.
Yep.
And we talk about Kyle's background a little bit with the Milwaukee and how he's probably the best part out of Milwaukee ever.
Stop.
And this
true.
guy, he's
Top
my favorite.
five,
He's my favorite part of Milwaukee.
Oh,
okay. This guy.
Nice.
I don't even have to go there. I just get it here in LA. So so this bonus lemonades section of our podcast, we want to talk a little bit more about Kyle's documentary.
Sure.
Last Signal.
Yeah.
He's told us a little bit about it so far.
Yeah.
We want to ask him.
Yeah.
Is there any specific story, or well, we don't want to give away anything about
No, that's fine. Ask the
documentary at
question.
all. We don't want to ask anything too deep, but we
No.
want to ask anything like, did anything specifically like touch you in a way like you were dealing with older people?
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
A
Yeah.
lot of people cry around older people because they have so much life experience.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, a lot of emotion comes out of them
Yes.
when they deal with things.
Yeah.
Is there anything that specifically touched you during the making that you didn't think was going to happen? Like, I'm not saying you're an emotional dude. I'm saying
No, yeah, but I can definitely I for sure.
saying
can
is
answer
there like some kind of something you can let us in on that,
Yeah.
like maybe you were like not expecting, but you're like, holy shit, like this is real deal, like
Yep.
these guys, this is something that I'm never gonna see again. And then
That was the interesting part about this whole project, was that the last documentary I filmed was actually a very kind of a downer of a subject. My last documentary was called Letters to Ashley, and
the death
it was
of a girl, right?
that was about a 19-year-old girl living in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who
Milwaukee
was
represent.
tragically murdered in her own house. And this is a story about what the community kind of did after that. And it was an uplifting story, but obviously no one wants to do a documentary about, such an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah.
And that story,
Not
as
cool.
one can imagine, elicited a ton of emotion, but I never broke down on set.
It was a murder, right?
It was a murder, yeah, and they still don't know who did it. It's considered now one of Milwaukee's few cold cases, which is crazy. But it was crazy because like I knew the family, and so like
Personally.
my one of my best friends in Milwaukee, his name was Anthony, and he was the older brother of Ashley who died.
So you knew Ashley for a while.
Yeah, I knew Ashley for a while. So what's interesting is that, like, for that movie, I had to pull myself out of it because I didn't want to be emotional on set. And so, like, a lot of other people around us were getting emotional, but I had to stay out of it so I could tell the story.
You had to stay, behind the
So
scenes.
obviously later, I remember the first time I watched the first cut of it, I broke down because then I wasn't, in public eye.
Did you
and so
cut it, or
whatever.
do you have somebody else?
A buddy of mine cut it, and so that was great. He did a phenomenal job. So the reason I preface with that is because this was a movie that was about, excuse me, such a tragic story, such a sad story, such a downer of a story, and yet on this documentary, The Last Signal, which is a very uplifting story about two old men that are reuniting for the first time in decades, this story got to me in a completely different way, but there were tears on set, and there was, for sure, and there was a day on set, and when the movie comes out, you'll know exactly where this moment is. But there was a day on set where we were with pretty much all of our characters.
How long did you film this?
It was almost a 3-week process.
Just
which
3
was
weeks? From start to finish for filming.
For filming, yes. For filming, it was about 3 weeks long. So,
Okay.
which is
pretty
for
normal.
me, that was
Pretty normal.
it's pretty normal. But it was the first time that I had done something personally for that.
Filming
long.
movies doesn't take that long.
No,
It really doesn't.
Not for like a short doc.
If you
or
haven't
something.
planned out, I mean, most
If you haven't
movies in
planned out, you
general,
know what to do.
they don't take
Yeah,
that
that's
long.
true too. Yeah. So that was cool. So we spent a lot of time with the families. We really got to know everybody during those few weeks. But there was a moment where we were all together, and there was some really cool stuff happening that day. And you had a realization that you were watching history in the making.
Okay.
And at the risk of sounding cliche or cheesy or any of that, like, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it got to me, it got to our camera guy, it got to our audio, guy, it got to everybody. There wasn't a dry eye on set. And it was just kind of a realization that, like, these stories aren't going to be around forever.
No.
And I said from the beginning of the story that, like, history dies with people if the stories aren't shared. And
Completely true.
yeah, and so it was
Like we talked
important.
about earlier, there's not that many of these particular people around.
There's not that
anymore.
many of these people left. And so it's important to get who we have left to talk about this so that we can have it. Because while maybe right this second it's not that interesting, in 20 years it's going to be very, very, very interesting because they're going to be gone.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
It's sad, but it's true.
Super
that's
sure.
just the realities of life.
Yeah.
So that's what's kind of interesting is that, like, the story elicited a lot of emotion in a lot of ways that we were not expecting, and it was happy tears. It was all good, but it kind of blew us away that, like, the gravity of what we were doing and what we were watching, what we were witnessing. And
something you tapped into. That wouldn't have been there unless you
wouldn't have been there unless we decided to jump in. And I'm so glad we did. I'm so glad that I reached out to the family and said, hey, you know, do you want to do this? Can we follow your story? Can we film you doing this? And they said yes. You know, we're gonna take a leap of faith and we're gonna let you come along, and we're gonna hope that everybody can make it to the reunion, because when you're dealing with people that old, you just never know.
You really don't.
And it worked, and it was great, and they reunited, and as you can imagine, it was just incredible.
Happy story.
Oh my gosh, it was so happy. But there's a lot of cool elements in it, and so that's what's neat, is that you can see not just the reunion, but you watch the daughter-father story, you watch the best friend story, you watch the husband-wife story, you see all of that.
There's a lot of aspects.
A lot of aspects.
That you don't initially see at the beginning of, like, when you were like, oh, I'm gonna go see the last thing. You're
not thinking about those.
You're not thinking you're gonna see this daughter trying to help her dad so much. And
no, you don't think about
this
all
best
that.
friend thing. You're expecting that they're gonna probably reunite with the other guy. Because that's probably what you're going to put in your trailer eventually, right?
That's. I mean, we just put up a picture today because today is Veterans Day. We put up a picture of the two of them reunited. So, like, we're not hiding the fact that they had a reunion.
Okay.
But it's you know, as they always say, it's the journey, not just the destination. Like, don't get me wrong, the destination's awesome. The reunion is our destination.
Destination's awesome.
Destination's awesome. But it was more about the journey. I mean, I don't want to say
the journey is
the journey
emotional.
was just as much of an emotional roller coaster as the
journey is the story.
For sure.
It's not the beginning, middle, end.
No,
it's the full.
It's the whole. It's not
there's
even
a beginning and an end, but the whole middle is the most important part.
Right, and it's not even the journey of getting to Stover to do the reunion. It was the journey of the entire reunion experience. Not just getting down there, but getting back and processing it.
Yeah.
And talking about what that meant.
Followed them back home too.
Oh yeah, we followed from before.
It doesn't end at the...
It does not end at the reunion.
Okay.
We followed the whole
cliffhanger, bros.
Cliffhanger. Uh-oh.
Don't tell them.
No. But yeah, so it's kind of cool.
There's that pregame, if you want to talk in alcohol terms.
Right.
There's that pregame. We're not going to tell you how it ends.
We're not going to tell you how it ends. No.
Really?
It's a great ending, though. Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah?
This ending? Woo, it's not a catfish ending, but it's good. It's good.
Fire starter.
Oh, yeah.
Get people thinking.
Yeah. It's not even get people thinking, but it's just... I guess it is get people thinking. That's not true. It is get people thinking. It's get people inspired, get people pumped up.
Good.
You know, get people thinking about what we should be, which is something we don't think about often, which is people that are doing a lot of good for our country.
A lot of good. A lot of people don't tap into the war stuff.
And when they do, it's always the same, I feel like. Like, with the exception of, like, Saving Private Ryan and, like, Pearl Harbor and, like, all that kind of stuff, like, all the documentaries on History Channel about World War II are almost carbon copies of each other.
Yeah.
You know?
When
I was doing research on this, I had to watch a lot of these to get information. And, you know, you watch one after another, and it's just like, oh, my God, they're all
You're just learning the same shit.
Yeah, they're all the same. And I finally found one on Netflix. It's called World War II. I think it's called World War II from Space. History Channel did it. It's one of the best World War II documentaries.
Really?
After The Last Signal. Zing!
Got him.
That you can watch out there. And it's great. If you're on Netflix, watch it until The Last Signal comes out.
Yeah, of course.
Then get that. Then go get that.
Go see that.
Then that'll be good. But yeah, so it was really cool. Like, it was a unique perspective of the war. And that's, I think, what we need more of is stop with these documentaries that are all the same thing and give me something different. And there's nothing quite like this, where there's two guys reuniting, you know, for the first time.
The focus on the whole film is these two particular dudes.
These two particular dudes, Devere and John, and their journey to meet each other for the first time in 70 years.
So, to meet anyone after 70 years is a feat in itself.
Much less being halfway across the country from each other.
So, to get drafted in World War II, you had to be, 18?
Yeah, and neither of them were drafted.
Okay,
both of them volunteered. They enrolled because...
Which was some shit you did back then.
Right, because they knew that they didn't want to get drafted, and they knew they were up for the draft. So they both said, we'd rather go into the Navy and enjoy Navy life.
Have our choice.
And have our choice, because there was no mistake in the fact that the Army people were the ones that were getting drafted and the ones that were unfortunately getting killed the quickest. So it's just fact.
Pick your poison.
Pick your poison. They said Navy sounds safe. And they were right. They safer, right? They definitely had their
Nothing was
fair
safe
share of war stories.
Yeah?
And close calls.
Did I hit you in on it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
we
we're
got
gonna
all
get
that.
some war stories on there?
You're gonna hear all sorts of war stories.
Nice.
They
Some
were
brutal ones?
they were in Okinawa
Some
for
super
the Battle
sad
of
ones?
Okinawa.
No shit.
They were in the Battle of Saipan.
Don't let them on everything.
No, but I mean, this is tease.
Oh, I know it's teased, but you don't.
Yeah,
don't,
you know.
don't hit them with the
Don't worry.
exact battles.
There's more. There's more.
So these dudes went in.
Yeah.
Like these were some hardcore motherfuckers. That great.
Oh
For
my
real.
gosh. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, it was great.
I mean, all of us pretty much know probably at least one veteran, right?
I promise everybody has a veteran in their family.
You gotta know at least one. I mean,
That's a
if
fact.
you do, I mean, go hit them up, tell them thanks or whatever. You know, some
It's
people
so important.
Yes, it's so important. Some people get really weird about it, and I mean, there's a lot of instances where people actually, they come back and they're like, they get offended if you don't say thanks, which is I don't think that's a
That's
thing.
silly. No, I don't think that's a thing. What's been interesting is watching this documentary. You see these guys; they're at the end of their lives. They're in their
They're old.
90s. They're old, and they've lived their lives. Their day consists.
They know it's coming.
Yeah, and most of them in this documentary is no exception. Most of them are ready to go.
Yeah.
They've all said, I'm ready when God takes me, and when it comes time, and that's cool. And I think that's what happens at that age in life is that you realize that.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is that these guys, their day consists of getting up and
Watching Wheel of Fortune.
watching Wheel of Fortune and the Weather Channel, and reading the newspaper, and a lot of times sitting on the porch and watching the cars go by.
Yeah.
And then they go to bed. Maybe take a nap during the day.
Chilling.
That's their day. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what they don't have in their day anymore, that became abundantly clear to us in this documentary, is they don't have people to talk to. And one of the reasons that they both signed on as quick as they did to this, both of our veterans, is because they wanted to tell these stories. They didn't want to hide them, and they wanted to be able to share it. So I guess if anybody is listening to this and they're like, gosh, what on earth should I take away from this, or what should I be inspired to do, or whatever, here's what you should do. You should go and you should find whoever in your life means a lot to you that's getting older, and you should talk to them. You should sit down with them, have lunch with them, have dinner with them, spend the night if you want, and you should talk to them about the things that matter to them.
In
Because
life.
I guarantee you